Did the success or failure of some of his films sort of disturb him or made him feel that I should compromise in my next film or do something more commercial?
Well, it was the distributors who made him feel that way sometimes, because जैसे आपके फिल्म तो वो तो आर्ट फिल्म होता है, वो तो पैसे तो नहीं मिलते हैं आपको, हम तो प्रेस्टीज के लिए लेते हैं, वो आप जरा कुछ अलग बनाइए पैसे देने वाले. So he started bothering, wondering whether he could stay in the film industry here at all. And well, I don't think he did have time enough to prove himself later on, because he died when he was thinking of doing many other things. And he didn't know how to leave his things. He was very worried about his work, about the studio, about his staff. That was his main. He had taken them under his shelter. He felt he was responsible for them. He kept saying the one thing, what will happen? What will happen to those people who depend on me? He last till the last, and he asked me, he told me that I was feeling so in agony, and I knew what he was going through. I told him, I'll take over. He said, he will? Yes. I said, yes, I will. Everything belongs to you. And he closed his eyes, never to get out of it again. That was the last night. There was nobody in the room. So I thought it was my duty to carry on. I haven't been able to.
He used to write his, scripts or his work. When he was doing that, would he discuss it with you, or was it a very lonely process where he would only sit?
No, often. No, he had his colleagues with him who worked. At home he did discuss with me.
Excuse me. Take out the microphone, please. Were there any kind of books or scripts that he would discuss with you, or he would sort of ask your opinion as a sounding board, any of the films that he's made?
Well, sometimes he did, not exactly on books or that way scripts, I wouldn't say that, but on the situation, how even in Calcutta he did that, how the film should end, or what would be the right way, how one should behave. But he was good enough, he himself knew what he wanted to. Perhaps he wanted to have a second opinion too. And I would generally be different from his colleagues, because being a woman, I had my point of view, how I would look at a film, what I would like it to be. I did give my opinion, and once or twice he did change sequences because of that, against the colleagues.
For example?
Like the Zamin. The first thing that comes to my mind, also Naukri. There was a change in Naukri. And the Zamin, actually the end was that Paro dies due to the accident. Have you seen the Zamin? Last scene is that she, in the original thing, she dies. And Mahato, naturally he loses everything. Not only he loses his land, whatever money he had saved, he has to spend it for his wife, but without any result, because she dies after all. And the final scene where the film ends was a wall of bricks being put one by one, and the background music was that, that sound of the brick putting like that, and imposed on that the drip blood that was going, that is on, and she down, death, she dies. That is the end of the film. And Balraj Sahani, Shalil Chaudhary, they all thought it is a poetic, beautiful end. She should die. So I fought with them. Actually, I told my husband that, why do you want to make the woman die? Why should he lose everything? Okay, I understand the land, though, because father, which is staked everything. He came to the city, he gave his blood to earn even a few rupees and saving it. Every day he was angry with his son because he had also started earning. The father thought he is a Kisan ka beta chor. But it's so much pride in him. And after doing all that, so much sacrifice, his wife ultimately ended for what? Because loss of land was the main thing. Premise of the entire film is 2 bighas zameen which he loses. Now why bring another tragedy into it? I don't think it is right, and I wouldn't accept it. So my husband, partly convinced, he went and told these people, your bhabhi is objecting to this. So they all called me to the set. The last scene was going on, being shot. 2 bighas zameen came and sat near my feet. I said, what are you doing? This is terrible. Don't you think this is a poetic end? It should end on poetry. I say, poetry, my foot. I don't believe in that kind of poetry here. This entire, I don't like this, and don't try to argue with me. And they, all of them came, sat around me, trying to convince. I was unconvinced till the end. I said, no, you can't kill her. Let her get back her life. They will go anyway. They will go. By the time they reach their village, it's already been taken over. They have no right to that. For which the whole thing, the whole story lies in saving the piece of land. Ultimately he fails because he can't do that. The zamindar is too strong and he has taken over the land. What more tragedy do you want in his life? Why? For what? So anyway, they were ultimately, I know I wouldn't go into all the details, how they argued, how they tried to convince me. I was absolutely adamant. My husband did change that, did keep that head.
And Naukri, what was the?
Naukri was again a very terrible tragedy. Well, honestly, I don't like very, very terrible tragedy. I mean, unnecessary tragedies. I don't want. I would like to. This is the story of a young man, Naukri, in search of a job, and he fails everywhere. Ultimately, out of frustration, the last scene, they wanted to end the film there. Steps going up. Some steps where it goes unending, goes up and up. And we see the Kishore Kumar. Ultimately, he can't do anything, can't get anything. He's totally frustrated, totally he's heartbroken, and his mind gets, affected. That's the idea behind. And he comes down the steps instead of going up, down, 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 down. That means his life is ended there. Instead of showing him committing suicide, they wanted to convey the impression that there's no hope. I said, why do you have a hopeless film? What are you going to show the young people of our country who are striving for a job, who are taking everything, who are already frustrated? You want them to feel that this is the end? They can't do anything, they can't reach anywhere, and they have to go down, down, down to the end of their life. They don't have anything to look forward to. What is this? Don't you think you will feel more, make the younger generation, young boys, those hopeful boys, so miserable after seeing this film? Some of them may go and commit suicide. You want that to happen? Well, that was a terrible row with me, with all of them. And they said again it was a poetic end. I said, I don't believe in your kind of poetry. Again, the same thing that ultimately they did change. So these are the few examples where I suppose I can't bear any pain, any sorrow, maybe that affects me badly. That is why I impose. I don't know whether the other end would have been better. I couldn't say it because it was not done.
But when you would work on a sort of a script or a book, were there any projects that he wanted to do which he asked your opinion and then abandoned because he thought that maybe the story didn't move him much? Or
No, I don't think so. He knew what he wanted. Perhaps when he was convinced but he did discuss with me, definitely did several times. I couldn't quote you about all the times that these two very major things that happened and that he did change, that I am mentioning.
What was his sort of working style, in the sense that when he was not making films or not writing, what would he do for relaxation? Or
He hardly relaxed. No, I don't think he had any relaxation. His relaxation was his work. There he was happy. He wanted to be there, creating something, discussing things. He didn't have any, if you ask me, no particular hobby. He was fond of garden. Morning he would always go, getting up, he went into the garden, look after plant. That was one thing. But he didn't have any other time. Even on Sundays he used to go to the studio to have lunch. There's no holiday for him. And coming back late means very late. It was a very, very special day if he ever turned up early in the evening. And I wanted to celebrate it, I was so happy. But that didn't happen, very, very rarely. And he was away most of the time. He was on UPSC board, he was a jury, this committee member, chairman of the IMPA, and chairman again, he chairman of the United, what is it called, United
producers?
That 11 producers, that means.
United Producers.
United Producers. He started, moreover, he was responsible for starting it to fight against the corruption that exists in the film, like black money, giving of black money, taking of black money, and running films over time by payment, by paying, and whereas other films would get delayed, would not get released when they could easily have got theatre. The theatre would show one particular film because the producer or they would get together and make it feed the house so that they would make a silver jubilee. He was very much against that. I have seen them because the discussions took place in our house also. They used to have meetings and all the producers came together, discussed their dinner, everything. That was a regular feature, not in our house. They used to go from, used to have these meetings for several places, like everybody's house. So whenever there was some discussion, I would listen to part of it. And he was very cut up about the way some of the producers were behaving, in spite of being a member of this particular body, which was created for the sake of wiping out certain evils from the film industry. They actually indulged in them on their own. And these films, United Producers films, were you always see, if you see any film, a United Producers film. That means that was there, it had some duty to perform. But on those films also, when my husband was very cut up about one of our members who ran his film, continued his film on this basis, and my husband says, if we start doing this, what are we going to tell others? If we are standing for something, we break all our decisions or vows or whatever we have decided to fight against. If we are responsible, we are acting in this way, then what example can we cite for others? There is no point.
Did he ever think of going back to Bengal, Calcutta, to film?
Well, his ultimate thing was that he said ultimately we'll go back and stay. But, well, the stage didn't come.
Was there a dream project of his that sort of he would discuss and which really wasn't made?
No, he did want to make Amrit Kumbh. That was, actually it was for a long time he was working on that. It never came. He did shooting. Shooting means in the Kumbh Mela they covered a lot of footage on actual people, how things, so that later on they could use them. But I don't know what happened to those footage. Lots they took in various places, in Allahabad, also in some other place. I don't remember, Ujjain or Haridwar. The unit had gone, my husband had gone, they stayed there, they did the shooting during the Mela. But they never got off because he wanted to, ultimately he decided he would like to make it in color. All were black and white. This he wanted to. He started with the idea of making, because those shots were in black and white. But he wanted to make it in color, and he had approached, I think, NFTC to help out. I don't think they didn't agree.
What was there any kind of a favorite film of his among all the films that he did that he felt very close to? which he would talk about and sort of?
No. Yeah, I think it is if you give birth to a child, bad, good or bad, they're all the same. I suppose you were fond of them, or that kind of feeling.
But was there any favorite that you had that you really sort of?
I never thought about it. Each film has its own charm, own points, which are like, even some of the points I don't like. It's not in totally any film would be absolutely superb. I don't think so.
Would you ever sort of, or would he ever feel bad about using songs in these films? Because I mean, there was so much of realism in other things that he did.
I did. Rather not talk about it. To one or two films I did comment and told my husband why. But anyway, most of the songs were properly put in. I think they were in the right place. There have to be songs, so what? I mean, they just don't suddenly sing and dance around trees unnecessarily. Maybe there is a situation comes when the song has been put.
Would you think that in today, the 80s, his style of filmmaking would be relevant, or in this kind of, today as the industry is, why do you think he would fit in? That sensitive today?
Where he would fit in?
Yes, the kind of films that he made.
Why not? There is the kind of films he made, I think will have an universal appeal always, with a perennial value. I don't think it's only time. Of course, that was a very good time, which the 50s where the best films were made, I think. I mean, all films that worth mentioning, even the American films you'll find, even memorable films in those years. Films we'll always like, always want to see because they were so human. They were not only jugglery with camera and lights and all the technical excellence that has come into being. They're simple things, simply told. They drove home the truth. You felt, the audience, I think they did identify with the characters. That is all that is about. I don't think there is any time that is not suitable for films like that.
During that phase of when he was making films, Satyajit Ray and other people were also sort of becoming well known. Did he ever feel that he wanted to also make quote unquote art films, or?
No, he did. He always said, I haven't learned anything. I'm a very ordinary person. I don't profess to being a Superman or very intelligent, highly what you call the intellectual. He said he didn't like the word. That I'm not an intellectual. I'll do what I like and what maybe people like. Simple subjects, simple stories. Nothing very complicated about them. Any child will understand. You don't have to follow each shot to shot to understand exactly what it meant to be said. I don't think that simplicity is available now, is done in today's film. Things have become much different. The thinking has gone beyond this thing. The younger generation want perhaps too much complication. They like seeing things, Simplicity, I don't know. Simplicity has any value, perhaps, for the generation that is very important. Maybe the older generation like us, they still like the old-fashioned films.
He came, you said, from Dhaka and Bangladesh, East Pakistan. Did he ever feel a kind of a nostalgia of wanting to do a film there or wanting to go back there?
Once he had thought of doing Padda Nadir Majhi, which later on was done by Ritik Khatak. He did that subject.
As?
And what?
Which was the film that Ritik Khatak did, that subject?
This Padda Nadir Majhi. Was it Padda Nadir Majhi or was it
Tita Sheikh Nadir?
Tita Sheikh Nadir Nam. Tita Sheikh Nadir Nam. That is based in East Bengal, and he did it in collaboration with the Bangladesh government. He did it. And Ritik was a disciple of my husband. So when he was quite young, his elder brother Sudhir Khatak was with my husband, actually wanted to be, and he came and The last stage is he came and joined Bimal Roy Productions as a controller of productions. His younger brother, Ritik Khatto, he used to come to my husband every day almost, and he joined there. When my husband was shooting, he would go with them, and he was very fond of eating. I know, because he always came with a kind of war cry from the door. Baudi ki khabar ache, shiggir khawan bhishon khide peyeche, that kind of thing. He was a very big eater, very funny, but he was interested in film learning. And when he made his Ajantrik, he's the first person. He brought the film here to Bombay to show to my husband. Bimal da kirum hoyeche dekhun. And after he saw the film, my husband was quite overwhelmed.